MTG and me, this is Charles. Arch Enemy is a 4-player supplementary Magic the Gathering game where one player faces off against 3 others. To even out the fight, the Arch Enemy is aided by a deck of special scheme cards. In the recently released Arch Enemy Nicol Bolas, players choose to be one of 3 members of the Gatewatch in an epic battle to overthrow the tyrannical Nicol Bolas. The box set uses reasonably balanced, pre-constructed decks to represent Nissa, Chandra, and Gideon. But, you might ask, what about the rest of the Gatewatch? Where's Jace, the face of the group? What about Liliana, or even the recently added Ajani? And that's where we come in. I present to you Arch Enemy Add-ons. Arch Enemy Add-ons attempts to create a flavor-based deck that is reasonably consistent with those featured in the box set for the missing members of the Gatewatch. The criteria we followed to create these decks are as follows. The decks should generally match the color identity of their respective planeswalker. Each deck should follow a central theme and have a power level relatively equal to the other precons. This means that some consistency may be sacrificed in favor of variety of play and flavor. Each of the deck lists should cost less than $30 total. Each of the planeswalkers should be inexpensive, less than $10. And the cards used in the deck should generally be accessible and affordable. Enter Jace Beleren. Jace is arguably the leader of the Gatewatch, and like Liliana, has seen 7 different Planeswalker cards printed. Unlike Liliana though, the majority of them are available for less than $10 each, the exceptions being Jace, the Mind Sculptor, and Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. The choice then comes down to the role you might want Jace to play against Nicol Bolas. Jace Beleren, for example, gives symmetrical and asymmetrical card draw, but that role is already provided for by the Nissa deck, sort of. Jace Architect of Thought doesn't really do much of anything, so he's out. And Jace Unraveler of Secrets is a mix of draw and tempo. Any of these cards is probably fine, but we're going to go with Jace Memory of Depth and a Mill theme. While Mill can be an extremely strong effect in a 3 vs 1 game of Arch Enemy, it's important to note that Jace Memory Adept is a one-of, and variants will often ensure each game you play is unique. But ultimately, the choice of planeswalkers is yours, and the deck can be modified to accommodate them. So let's take a look at the rest of the deck. We're playing 2 copies of Jace's Phantasm. This quintessential illusion is a 1/1 flyer for 1 mana, and synergizes extremely well with Jace Memory Adept, because when the opponent has more than 10 cards in their graveyard, it becomes a 5/5 flyer and can help the Gatewatch close out the game. At 2 mana, we're going to run 2 copies of Omen Speaker. This human wizard allows Jace to scry cards to the bottom of the deck and provides an early game blocker. Next up are 2 Hover Barriers. These flying illusion walls provide the ability to defend another member of the Gatewatch early on, and is reasonably effective against most of Nicol Bolas' threats. Next up will be 1 Illusionary Servant. This is an efficient 3/4 flyer for 3, and Jace's Archivist causes a player to discard his or her hand and then draw cards. This can be used to assist members of the Gatewatch, but also to mill cards out of Nicol Bolas' hand. At 4-drop, we're going to run 2 copies of Archaeomancer. Archaeomancer gives some ability to recur spells. Next up, 1 copy of Disciple of the Ring. While this is a mythic rare, it can be found for less than $1, and provides another way to make use of those 18 instants and sorceries. Lastly, Jace's Mindseeker. This is a 4/4 for 6 mana, contributes to the mill. So among the 9 instants, we're going to be running several counter spells. First up is Dispel, which will often be able to foil one of Nicol Bolas' effects. Next up, at 2 mana, we're going to run 1 copy of Essence Scatter and 1 copy of Jace's Scrutiny. We're going to be playing 2 copies of Negate, then 1 copy of Redirect. Again, an interesting Hail Mary play that can basically redirect something like Nicol Bolas' Cruel Ultimatum back at him. We're also going to run 2 copies of Send to Sleep. This tempo spell can really help the Gatewatch get in past Nicol Bolas' defenders. And if we're able to activate Spell Mastery, which shouldn't be difficult in this deck, it also allows them to stay tapped down for an extra round. Finally, we're going to run 1 copy of Jace's Ingenuity, which is a flavorful card for Jace and allows him to draw 3 cards. Next up, for sorceries, we're running 9 total. We're going to run 2 copies of Tome Scour, which is just a 5-card mill spell. 2 copies of Fascination at 2X, which allow either members of the Gatewatch to draw cards or force Nicol Bolas to mill. Then 2 copies of Mind Sculpt, again, straight up mill effect. At 3 mana, we're going to run 1 Uncovered Clues. This acts as a tutor effect and gets instants and sorceries into Jace's hand. Next up, 1 copy of Talent of the Telepath. This rare from Origins acts both as a mill spell against Nicol Bolas and also a free spell. Finally, for sorceries, we're going to run 1 copy of Ugin's Insight. So effectively, a better version of Jace's Ingenuity that is cast at sorcery speed. We're only going to run 1 artifact in the deck, and that's Hedron Archive. This allows us to ramp out some effects, but also enables us to sacrifice to draw additional cards. For enchantments, we're going to run 4. First up is Jace's Erasure at 2 mana. This just provides a continuous mill effect for every card that's drawn, and can slow down Nicol Bolas' advance. Next up is Trail of Evidence from Shadows over Innistrad, which gives us a steady stream of clues if we're able to land it early. Then 1 copy of Jace's Sanctum, which increases the efficiency of the spells cast. Also allows us to scry 1 for every instant and sorcery cast. And finally, 1 copy of Mind Control at 5 mana. Just enables us to steal 1 of Nicol Bolas' creatures. And then we're going to run 24 Islands.
If you enjoyed the video, you could help us by clicking that like button and leaving a comment. And to support the channel, please click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching!